Hello, and welcome to the classroom instruction video for the Islamic World Trade simulation. In this trade simulation, you will play as a group of merchants engaging in trade in the Islamic world plus Constantinople, which is part of the Byzantine Empire, around the 10th century. The goal is to make as much money as possible. The instructor should pause the video as necessary in order for students to be able to gather their materials and to take their turns. To play, each group will need a board. On the upper left box is a key explaining which marker goes with each good. For example, the camels are camels, the green rectangle is an emerald, and that gold-looking rock is gold. On each city is a list of goods with dirham coins next to them. That was the name of a coin that was common in this era. The number of dirham next to a good indicates how many coins it costs to buy or sell an item. For instance, a book at Marrakesh costs 3 coins, while books in Baghdad cost only 1. Different cities are connected by lines. Each turn, you can move from one city to another connected by a line. If a city is not connected by a line, students cannot go there directly. For instance, if you want to travel from Constantinople to Cairo, you would first have to go to Baghdad, and then on the following turn go to Cairo. To play, each group would also need coins. These come in denominations of 1s, 5s, and 10s. So a coin with a 1 or no marker on it is worth 1 coin, and 5 of those is equal to 5 coins. Each group starts out with 5 dirham, unless your instructor determines otherwise. You will also need goods counters. These are what you buy and sell. You might recognize them from the upper left-hand key on your board. You also will need a camel. Groups start with 1 camel, but can buy more starting on the second turn. Whenever you buy something other than a camel, you have to put it in one of the numbered slots on the camel. If there's no empty slot, the camel can't carry it. Items do not stack. For instance, if you buy 3 books, they would have to go in 3 different slots, not stacked on one slot. And if you look at the card, you can see that. There are 2 golds. They each have to have their own slot. You can't put both golds on top of each other. Dirham coins do not take a slot, right? You can keep those separately off to the side. Each camel requires 1 water per trip. If there's not enough water during the water check, the camel dies and everything they were carrying is lost, unless it can be moved on to another camel with empty slots. Events can cause a loss of water, so you may want to buy extra water. You may also want to consider naming your camels. You will also need a deck of event cards. An event card is drawn each turn. Event cards have random effects that can be good or bad. You will also need a dice, and maybe something to roll it in. Dice that hit the floor should be re-rolled. To give an example of when you might need a dice, as you can see from this event card, it says you lose 3 random items. Determine what items you lose, choose a camel and roll 1d6 and remove the item counter in that slot. Reroll a dice if it indicates an empty slot. Do this until you lose 3 items. So if this was our camel, right, if we rolled a 1, we would lose the water, a 2 or 3, we'd lose the gold, a 4, we would lose the emerald, and if we rolled a 5 or a 6, we would have to re-roll until we got a 1, 2, 3, or 4. You also need a marker to show what city you were at. A lot of times I think a coin is a good way to use this. You don't move your camel, that would be complex. You will move your coin around to show where you're at on the map. After putting students into groups and handing out their materials, they need to determine what city they start at. Students roll a dice and put their marker on whatever city they roll. For example, if they rolled a 1, they would start at Baghdad. A 2, they would start at Cairo. A 3, they would start at Constantinople. 4, they would start at Marrakesh. 5, they would start at Timbuktu. And on a 6, they would roll again, but start with 1 extra dirham. Once students have their starting spot, they should think for a few minutes about where they want to go and spend their money to buy goods. Once everyone is ready, tells students to put their marker between the city they started from and the city they are going towards. For instance, this group started at Constantinople and is heading towards Baghdad, which is why their coin is between Constantinople and Baghdad. As merchants travel, they pass the time with a trivia game. If the group gets it right, they gain 1 dirham coin. Each group can answer on their own and win a single dirham coin. Groups are not in competition with each other. Multiple groups can earn a coin. Groups can play through on their own using a deck of question cards, with whoever drawing the question asking the others. The answers are on the card, so the person reading the question cannot answer, or instructors can have the whole class go together and ask them the same question from a PowerPoint. To start us off, this video will ask 1 question. Which of the following statements best describes Muhammad's situation before he left Mecca for Medina? Remember, discuss with your groups what you think is the correct answer. After you've had a chance to discuss and decide, then I will give the correct answer, and whoever gets it right will get a coin. A. He was in a difficult situation, as his followers were being persecuted and his uncle who had protected him had died. B. He was doing well and had so many followers, he thought it was time to expand to another city. C. He did not have a single follower and thought he would do better in Medina as it had a tradition of belief in one God. Or D. He was expelled from Mecca by his uncle, who was a follower of the traditional gods. And I will give the correct answer in 3, 2, 1. The correct answer was A. Students now draw a card and follow its instructions. For example, in this case, a camel has wandered off. You can choose which one. You can spend a water counter to spend time searching for it. If you do that, roll a d6. On an even number, you find it, and on an odd number, you do not. If you do not remove the water counter or you fail to find the camel, you lose it and everything it was carrying. After resolving an event card, students make a water check. Remove a water counter for each camel you have. If you run out of water counters before you run out of camels, each camel that lacks water dies. Each camel requires 1 water. You can move goods from your dead camel onto a live one if you have open slots. If you do not, you lose the goods on the dead camel. After the water check, you make it safely to your destination. We have now gone through a complete turn. I'll give you the turn order so that you can proceed as you like, and then we will wrap up the game. The turn order, and please do leave this up for students to use and resume the video when you're ready to end the game. Choose what city you will go to and put your marker halfway between it and the city you are heading towards. One member of your group draws a question card and asks the others the question. If they answer correctly, the group gains 1 dirham coin. This should be the one that is worth 1, not the one that's worth 5 or 10. Then draw and resolve an event card. Make a water check. Remove a water counter for each camel you have. If you run out of water counters before you run out of camels, each camel that lacks water dies. Each camel requires 1 water. You can move goods from your dead camel onto a live one if you have open slots. If you do not, you lose the goods on the dead camel. Congratulations, you have made it safely to your destination. You can now sell everything except for water and purchase new goods, as well as camels. Once you have done that, go back to step 1. Instructors, please pause the video until you are ready to end the game. At the end of the game, everyone sells everything except for camels and water. Whoever has the most dirham wins the game. Congratulations! Here are some questions for reflection. What did you learn about this historical time period from this game? How successful were your merchants? What accounts for that level of success? What obstacles did merchants face? Your merchants made money by selling things for more than you paid for them. Why do you think people might welcome you to their cities instead of criticizing you for ripping them off? How do you think merchants helped the cities they traveled to? Which camel was the best camel? Why?